Welcome into another episode of the Young Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Today's guest is one that I'm absolutely fucking buzzing for, mainly because we've been told that we've not had enough female guests on. It's something that's been brought up a couple of times, but I think that's just naturally because I'm a guy. I'll naturally just attract other guys, which sounds weird. But anyways, obviously this episode, guys, this is one that I've been mega excited for, mainly because I met Louise at Phil Graham's mastermind group when we went along to one of his events. Learned very quickly how big of a business Louise had built, especially in the last year. It's really blown up. And as soon as we got chatting, I was like, I need to get you in the podcast, I need to get this stuff kind of unraveled from a journey perspective. So for anyone that doesn't know you, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the intro. And also, I am quite masculine, so that's probably why I've ended up on here. The word young, I hope that's okay for me in
of course
my old age. So I'm Louise Brough. I am the dance business coach. I initially started my business as a dance studio owner, quickly grew that, removed myself, and then kind of after COVID times realised that a lot of the dance industry needed help. People were just struggling. They hadn't had their business set up like a business. So yeah, that's kind of started about 4 years ago, and then it grew arms and legs, I suppose, in the last year, very organically, I would say, until now.
In the last year, you've went from what, 4k per month to
40,
which is fucking mad. 10x in a year.
Yeah.
What do you think, without getting into the nitty gritty straight away, what do you think has been the biggest catalyst of the 4 to 40k per month?
Biggest catalyst is selling high ticket, without a doubt, and that came from joining a mastermind group and learning that there was other options out there. Previously, I was doing kind of like volume, low ticket. And that's just very difficult and it's quite slow to grow, I suppose. So high ticket, massive, and also just removing myself from the doing and just, taking action.
Yeah. And what was, in terms of like the low ticket stuff as well? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they start out, a lot of young entrepreneurs will start with the low ticket stuff purely because, a lot of it comes down to confidence, to be fair. They start low ticket because they're not too afraid to charge more.
Yeah.
For yourself, like, what was the kind of thought process of starting low ticket and then evolving into higher ticket?
Yeah, I think it was that. I think it was just the confidence to know that I could get people results. So I helped dance school owners to sort of see their school like a business and run it in such a way. And as much as I know I could do that for myself, I suppose I didn't have the proof that I could do it for other people. And obviously I'm about results and getting success stories, so I wouldn't have felt right charging more when I didn't have the sort of social proof, if you like. But I suppose, like anything, through time your confidence builds and then you realise the value that you've got to offer. Plus I think you very quickly learn that it is just as easy to sell high ticket as it is low ticket, and in fact probably easier to sell high ticket. But I didn't believe that at the start. Yeah.
And I think as well, when you sell high ticket, like, the clients are so much more committed. They're so much more dialed. They're like, they come in with like some serious fucking fire. Yeah. And I think what obviously Phil speaks a lot about it, like clients that will pay those super low ticket fees, they'll be the most demanding, as opposed to those that pay a higher ticket. Yeah,
and I think just people expect more from themselves when they invest in something, so they take responsibility for their actions and they go and do it. Whereas I think low ticket, people they don't have very much skin in the game, so they're just like, I might do that or I might not. It's not like going to break the bank. Whereas if you've invested quite a lot in something, you're going to make it work.
And I felt as well, when we were charging low ticket, very often, like, people would give a yes that was really a maybe.
Yeah.
And we like, when I was in the kind of frontline sales wise, I could tell the telltale signs of them not being as committed. But when you bring in a sales team and you're trying to teach them the nuances of like, that individual might say yes, but like, you really need to have to like dig in, otherwise they're going to churn within a couple of months, and we don't want that to happen. And it's like, we just started to recognize as well, is that like, because it wasn't enough commitment from them, that yes was actually a maybe. And then when they come in, they wouldn't be as committed, they wouldn't attend the sessions. You're trying to pre-frame them on these expectations that they need to be super committed, but the money doesn't equate to that level of commitment.
100%. Whereas I think when people pay a certain amount, like a higher ticket, like, it's scary for them, but it also gives a bit of an energy and a bit of a drive behind it. You're like, oh my God, I'm terrified, but I'm going to do this and I'll do whatever you tell me to do, basically. Whereas the lower ticket, it's just like they can lose the money and they're not that fussed. Whereas when you're kind of investing and paying, is both of, we both invested, I suppose, through conversations quite heavily in our own growth and learning. And I think you just know that you're going to make it work.
I think your mindset towards investing is pretty fucking abundant, to be fair.
It's actually ridiculous. I wouldn't advise it on anyone.
Yeah.
We've just bought a flat, like a sort of an investment flat that we're going to use at the dance school for a bit of an office and a bit of storage. I've not stepped foot in the flat. Like that's how just not
I think the chat we had at the airport, I think, indicated that as well, to be fair. So for context, cool, we're just chatting the numbers on it.
Go for it.
So obviously when we invested in Phil, it was 15k up front. How much did you?
I was 10 because I wasn't private
it was the
client
private
at the time.
stuff, and then also you recently just done a full day with him, a full strategy day, which is an extra serious amount on top as well.
But I thought it was a bargain, and I literally messaged them after it and said, I feel like I've just won the lottery having a day with you, and I feel like you've not charged me enough.
Yeah.
And he was like, you've got people that think I'm too expensive, and then you've got people like her.
I resonate with that, because I think as well, it's like when you get someone like Phil, I don't know about you, but I definitely had my fair share of coaches prior to Phil.
Yeah.
That when you get Phil, you realise like the difference from a game perspective. What about you? What was your past experiences like?
It's night and day. I think a lot of other coaches, well, not a lot, but certainly ones I've had experience with, haven't maybe had the same level of, I think, authenticity that Phil has. Just coming from such a authentic place and knowing what he has built, I think is dead inspiring. And he's built such a ecosystem, I suppose, that's going to get you the results. And as long as you're going to do the work, then you will. Yeah.
And I think it's the experience as well alongside it. Like, I think I've had fair share of coaches that really don't have the experience behind them that showcases it, and it also makes you feel really at ease. Like, see, when, for example, the last call we had, it was we need to make two new hires, one of which is a new coach, another one is like a concierge to be the middleman or woman between clients and the actual coaches themselves. And it's like being on a call and hearing that so nonchalant, that's like, you're going to make these next two hires, I want it done by next call, and I'm like, we've never done that before. Like, what? How do we train a coach to be like to the standard? It's so nuanced. It's so like, Isabel, you think that your business is so different to everyone else's, and he's just like, shut up, man. It'll be
universal.
Fine. Take the resources. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, by the way, that's been a huge lesson for me. Like, the thinking that coaching can only be of value through an actual one-to-one support aspect, but his resources are just like everything you need.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I think, see, that thing that you're saying, when he set me the challenge when I joined his mastermind, it was like, go make your first high ticket sales. Now, bearing in mind, I was charging like £39 a month at the time. Yeah. And that was quite difficult to get in an industry like mine that weren't used to investing in themselves. Yeah. So for me to then go sell something at 3k for 3 months, I was like, no, I cannot do this. And he just said, watch this, follow the steps, here's your plan. And then, I just sold 10 spaces like that. So, and then I think when you get the courage to go out and do that, it gives you the confidence to keep going and doing it again. And then last week, the day we had together, we've kind of increased that price, increased the time frame for working with new schools that come in with us. And he was like, I want 5 by the end of the month. And I was here, and I think we've nearly got our 5 within the space of a week. So it just does something, but it kind of just puts a rocket up your bum,
and
I suppose.
If you were to say that to Phil as well, I'd be like, right, cool, make that 15 then. By the end of the month.
I know, because I've still got I think I've got 12 days until our check-in call, and I'm like, I will have done everything that I said I was going to do. Just out of pure, I don't know, just like, I'll do it.
I'll do it. I think combined with how much you pay, you feel like you'd be fucking an idiot to not actually go and do the things you said you would.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the big things as well for getting results, is just doing what you say you're going to do. Even when, the excitement's there when you're with them, going home, 3 kids, husband, normal life, you're a bit like, oh my God, how are we going to do it? But it's just, you just find a way.
Yeah, we need to touch on that 100%, because that's definitely something that I can't, I've got the freedom without any constraints at all when it comes to business, whereas you're doing it, especially the growth you've had in the last year with 3 kids.
Yeah, but again, I think that having the constraints helps as well. Having the pockets of time. So yesterday when my little boy started school, I had a 3-hour working window because I wanted to drop him, I wanted to pick him up. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So I got a week's worth of work done in 3 hours. Wow. I'm not, that's maybe a bit exaggerating, but you just get it done because I'm like, that's the time I've got and I'll just need to make the most of it. Whereas if I gave myself the full day, might not have the same sort of urgency. Yeah,
I've definitely felt that more recently as well. Even I done a masterclass on Monday for another small mastermind group. And And it wasn't until on Monday I looked at my calendar because I'll prep on the Sunday evening ahead of the week. And I looked at it and I thought, fuck, I've got that mastermind group. I was like, shit. I was like, right, cool. I've got a rough base of what I'm going to run with. And see, like, once again, if I'd maybe realised that last week, I'd have been like, yeah, I'll do a little bit here, a little bit there. Whereas I just had the Monday just to sort it. Done it in 2 hours and then rocked up and it was fucking class. I was there for like 45 minutes afterwards just answering questions. So it's like, I definitely agree with like the time windows, man. Like if you're got like all the time in the world, because I've definitely noticed it for me as well. I'll actually become really fatigued as well if I'm like jumping into something, then jumping out, then jumping in, jumping out, taking some time away, then taking some time in, and you feel like you've actually done fuck all when you get towards the end of the day. Whereas, that's
me.
Yeah.
I'm the person that you can give me 2 weeks to prepare a session or to prepare a training, whatever, and I'll do it the night before or the morning of.
we always like that.
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
But I always get it done. So I think I used to beat myself up a wee bit about it and be like, you know, why can I not be more organised and have everything ready in advance? But now I'm just quite accepting of that's the way I am, and I know I've got the evidence that I always get it done. So I just kind of relax now. So seeing the lead up to something, I used to like anxious, oh my God, I better do it, and then freak myself out when I was leaving it so late. And now I'm just like, that's just the way I am. It's fine.
And you've got the, like you said, you've got the proof that
I'll do it. I would never let myself down, let anyone else down. So that as long as I know that, then we're good.
It's amazing, man. So throw me back then to when you first started, like what your first dance school that would have been. So run me back to then. Yeah,
so that was August 2010.
Okay.
Age 23 at the time.
Amazing.
No proper business experience. I say proper because I'd started like wee businesses when I was like 8, 9, 10. Businesses. So yeah, it was my first kind of proper stab at business. I had been traveling, I had got my degree in dance, knew that I wanted to set up a business and make money, but also knew that the dance industry was not quite known for that. And just very quickly dived straight into a studio. Again, most people would have maybe got a community hall and started with 2 hours a week or whatever. And I was like, nope, straight in, used a deposit I had been saving for a house at the time, put it into the studio, and then again just made it work, and it's just kind of been like that ever since. But very quickly I realised that I couldn't do the teaching and do the admin and do all the things, so I started to pull myself back and invest like in my learning to do that.
And where's it, so like the dance school, where did you get that to in terms of like monthly revenue, for example?
God, at the time, and it feels like feels low now compared to the types of money that the schools I'm working with are bringing in. But at the time, it's probably bringing in about £5,000 a month.
Yeah.
But I thought that was like, wow. And like no discredit to anyone that is not at that. But, you know, just compared to what I'm seeing now, some of the schools I work with are turning over £40,000-50,000 a month. Yeah. So for me to get to 5, I thought that was like a massive achievement. And it kind of was, I suppose, for that time in the industry. And then I very quickly learned as well, because a lot of people put themselves off bringing on team members because they think they can't afford it.
Yeah.
But I very quickly learned that actually, if you're going to pay someone whatever it is, the hourly rate, they'll probably get the work done more efficiently than me, faster than me, and I'll be able to work on other things. So when I started seeing that and I was seeing the results, it became quite addictive.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because it's like you've got 100% output, but you're splitting across 4 different things, which is just 25%.
Exactly.
Whereas you get one person in, their whole gig is just on that.
And it just made everything a lot easier, because it was almost like you were becoming a victim of the success of the school. Like it was so busy and it was thriving, but I would drive home at night like literally in tears because it was stressful. I didn't have like proper systems in place or anything, and it was busy. People wanted in, but I was like, oh, I can't take one more kid. Like this is just it'll be another person to deal with, another problem, another person to answer to. Whereas when I removed myself, I was like, send all the kids in because there's another teacher, and everything just eased off a little bit, I think, from then.
So how did you start removing yourself? What was that like?
So I was working with a business coach at the time, and I started by giving up one day. So basically at the time I was teaching Monday to Saturday. I wanted a Saturday off. So we just started there. I just started small, and then like that became quite addictive. And I was like, oh, this is nice. I can do what I want on my Saturday instead of being tied to the studio. And then it was a Friday, then it was a Thursday, and then before you know it, sort of, I think it was about 4 or 5 years maybe in, I wasn't teaching at all.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh, this is nice.
And how many teachers did you have like teaching for you then?
At the time, it was probably about 10 because they were mostly on a sort of freelance basis. So some would come in and teach for 3 hours. Some would maybe be an hour here and there. So it was like a kind of mixed bag, I suppose, of people coming and going.
Because I'm guessing, like, what I was curious about was like what those sorts of like a dance school, what the kind of business model would actually look like.
Business model is a funny word to use for a dance school. Like, again, when I started and even growing up in a dance class, it was the teacher was everything to everybody. I can hear a giggle in the background because you know that's true. It was like, you know, your teacher was the person that planned the events. She was the admin. She'd done everything. And that was just the norm. Like, and then I just didn't want that to be the norm. So so we just made it not the norm. And then now it's becoming more normal for people to own the business and rely on other people.
Because what like whenever I spoke to anyone, like when I came back, obviously Andy, who I run YNL with, he was like, what were some of the people like that you met? And I told him about yourself, and the same thing as I've relayed that to anyone in regards to your business and what you do. It's like, talk about the power of a fucking niche, man. Like,
I know.
You've went into an industry that like literally were just, like you said, it wasn't even really like a proper business to a lot of people. And you've got it to a stage now where you've got students that are doing 40, 50k a month. They're running like a proper business. And you've almost been like a trailblazer in that.
It's mad to see. And I'll be honest, sometimes when people send me like a message of the results, they'll say maybe I set myself a goal of this and I've already hit it. And I still find myself getting shocked because I'm like, wow, this thing that we've created is working. And it's just kind of been, and I don't want to say the word effortless because I think that undermines probably the work that we've put in, but in a way effortless because it's like I'm just helping people.
Yeah.
So see, when I just strip it back, I'm like, all I'm doing is helping people, and I am committed. Like, if you're going to join, especially the mastermind program, you will get the results, and I will bloody do whatever it takes to get you them. Like, you know, even if we don't have the training, if we don't have the knowledge or whatever it is we need, we'll get the people in. So I think as long as I keep that the focus, then it's quite exciting.
Yeah, I think that's what drew me to Phil as well, because he had that similar kind of like ethos and philosophy, which like just starts to really throughout like all clients. Because as well, it's like, I think people don't realize, like, if you're not driven by results but you want to go into that space, your reputation is just fucked within, I don't know, like a year or something. Like, you're just, you may as well just throw everything out the window. And it's not sustainable. It's just not going to be sustainable. And I think one of the things as well, when you already touched on it, is realising that you don't need a one-to-one element with every single member, every single client to get them results. I think maybe the old me thought that, and it'd be like, wow, I'm going to quickly burn out from this. So I was doing one-to-ones in the beginning, and now I don't, unless it's part of the mastermind program or unless it's like a day. Because I just think you can't get results with a one-off one-to-one session. And I think as well, it's like doing the one-to-one stuff, it's actually easier to do that input because all you need to do is just schedule a call and hop on. Whereas it's much harder to build out a proper resource infrastructure, for example, that has everything that people need and ready to, and actually have the delivery system to prescribe those solutions when they need it. Like, it's much harder to break that down and actually create that than it is to just be like, Louise needs some help. I'll just phone you, or let's just hop on a call. It's so much easier to do that.
But I think a lot of coaches do that. Like, I definitely know of some, and I know of like schools that I work with that have had that in the past. So sometimes they're a bit shocked when they learn that they don't get a weekly one-to-one meeting with me for their investment. Like, you don't need that to get results, and you're not paying me for my time, you're paying for the result.
I think that's the biggest shift as well.
And I think as soon as you get your own head around that, it becomes easier to sell. Like, before I came here, I had a sales call, and the girl was like, like, whereas, and it was it's 5k now for 6 months. And again, that used to scare me, but then now it's just like, no, because I know that when she invests that, she's going to probably double her business.
Which is fucking mad when you actually like break down the aspect of doubling someone's business. I know,
but I feel like now I can say it with certainty because I've seen it happen. If I was to do that in day one, I don't think I'd be able to, because you obviously don't take it lightly that people are investing in you. So I wouldn't want anyone to pay that if I didn't have the proof that we could get them the results. Whereas now I can confidently sit and say, we'll get you from 5 to 10 in this space of time. And they're just like, what? Like, how can you do it? I'm like, it's magic. Just come in and find out. But yeah, it's exciting.
That's class. How many students are you at now?
I'm not a details person. Maybe about 240 in the low ticket and 41 in the high ticket.
Awesome. Love that. And what does the what does the low ticket look like, and what does the high ticket look like?
So low ticket doesn't have the sort of personalised plan in place. So low ticket, as you come in, you get access to all the information, but we don't have as much accountability. We don't have the check-ins. We don't have the regular touch points. You know, it's just like a hub, essentially. And when I've done the work with Phil last week, we've kind of mapped it out that the low ticket will help get people to 5K months. So I feel like even that shift just makes it clearer in my head now to market that. It's like, if you're at 2 or whatever it is, come in here, we'll get you to that. And then from there, you come up to the next step. And the mastermind has like the planning element in the beginning. You've always got a plan. You never get stuck. You'll always have something to focus on. And again, even that line just goes, oh, I need that.
Yeah. It does. It just separates you completely. And one of the things I thought was super interesting, don't know if it was the same for you, but when Phil sold me into the pro, like the one-to-one aspect, one of the aspects I loved, I remember saying it to Andy, was like, oh, we get SOS calls. We get to call them whenever we want. Not even called them once. You don't, which is fucked.
That's the same with me. So my mastermind get unstuck calls. So if they're ever stuck, we do them now and again, but they don't typically need them because I've got a group call once a week, and as long as they're on that, listening to it, catching up, they will have a focus. You know, and it just works. And there'll be times where people are stuck, but again, it's just remembering that you're not paying for that one-to-one aspect.
I think that's the part to like disconnect for a lot of coaches, because they associate one-to-one with, I think as well, one of the things I want to unpack, just based off like our chat at the airport, you've obviously invested a shit ton. You've got a very abundant mindset when it comes to money as well. Was that always the case, or have you like developed and worked on that?
I would say it's hard to pinpoint like a time, but I have always been quite open, and I always think, and it's probably to my detriment at times. My husband's like, stop. I'm always like, the more you give, the more you get back. You know, you need to just openly give to receive. And I'll see money very differently. I noticed from him, who I class as like a normal person. I'll see, you know, if somebody wants to charge me £2,000 an hour or whatever it is, I'm like, wow, that's so valuable. And then I realise that that's not normal to think like that, because he'll be like, that's and so I don't know. I think just before I started my business, I got really into like personal development and stuff. So I think that's been a massive help. And I think just knowing that as long as you trust yourself, whatever you invest, you'll always get it back.
And in terms of someone that maybe doesn't trust themselves just now, what advice would you give them?
Like, what's the worst that can happen? We're all literally going to die one day. So that is, and I know that sounds like dead morbid and dead simple, but every single day I definitely have some sort of urgency. I'm 37, right? I'm not hopefully at that point yet. But I always think, God, I might be like halfway through my life. I better hurry up if I want to do all the things. And I always have that kind of thought, like, so what if you lose £10,000, you'll just go and make it back. Because nobody's going to, if you lose the money, as long as you get the skills, the belief, the attitude and all of that, you'll get it back. Which
I think is the big difference. Like when you see, like for me, when I was growing up, you'd see millionaires that would seem so out of reach. But the thing that would be out of reach would be their belief system behind like stick me anywhere, I'll make millions. Take my business away, I'll start another one, I'll make millions. And it's like, you just sounds like you developed that exact mindset.
I think it's just the certainty in yourself. It's definitely grown in the last year, but again, I think that's through just getting results for people and realising that there's still so many people out there that I can help. And I think, see, as long as you're doing something it's helping others, then it's a win-win.
And I think like when you say there's so many people to help as well, I definitely think a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs that I've worked with, they'll come in and they won't niche because they'll be like, oh no, I want everybody. I help everyone. And they don't realise that by trying to do that, they end up helping no one. And for yourself, actually, I Googled it before, I think it was last week, how many dance schools there were just in the UK.
I don't even know the answer to that.
I think it's 13k was when I last researched that. I could be way off, or that might sound like a ridiculous number to you. Maybe
that's a nice number. Still get many schools to reach then.
I'm maybe thinking maybe it was like 3k or something. I'm like, fuck.
No, 13k sounds good.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
Okay. But it's like something like that, like 13,000 businesses that you can help. Whereas some people can get so stuck on like, and that's just in the UK. Like, I mean, you've got clients that are like in Dubai and stuff like that. But I think like for a lot of people, they get so fixated on like, oh, but that's only 13,000, whereas I could have millions. But
No.
like, even
if I could give anybody advice on that, it would be the more niche the better. And I understand the thinking behind, I'd rather like tap into a big massive river of businesses, but see if you can just, for want of a better term, but like fish in a sort of smaller pond, you're more likely to get the catch, I suppose. Like now I think what's happening is the more I'm getting people results, people are starting to come to me and say, you got my friend this result. And I know you could help many a business, but you become just a bit blah, a bit grey. Like everybody, there's how many business coaches out there?
Yep.
All kind of preaching the same stuff. I'll get you 10k months. I'll get you to do this. And like I just think you're more like likely to succeed if you can narrow down your niche.
Yeah. I mean, even like for us, like young entrepreneurs, that was one of the things I did chat to Phil about, because I was like, it's not necessarily proper niche. Like young entrepreneurs is like just people that are young in business. Like that's not really a niche. And what we started to recognize was like, if we're building out resources, most of our stuff's going to be service based, for example. Yeah. But we still had some e-com clients, and you start to realize that by trying to make everyone happy, you actually end up just making fucking nobody happy. And it was like steps for us that naturally where e-com businesses, young entrepreneurs like e-com business owners will still come to us and we'll be like, by the way, like most of our resources, everything that we do is all for service-based businesses. So if you're coming in because you want all these resources and all this fucking hub that's all going to be dedicated to your business, you're not going to get that. And see the amount of clients we've had that call with them and they'll go, we don't need that though. We actually need the support, the accountability, the people, the community aspect of it, which I've always found super interesting. But I think like, once again, if we were to try and create content for like the full e-commerce space along with the service-based,
you end up just diluting your message, I think, don't you?
Big time.
And it's like that. I do help friends with businesses sometimes, and we've had like, we're predominantly for dance and theatre schools, but we've got martial arts, we've got a swimming school. I guess everything that we teach can go across a lot of businesses, but I don't think it would do us any favours trying to target all the businesses. Yeah. And I definitely think I'd rather be known in one industry than just kind of like diluted across a whole industry. Maybe further down the line that might change, but definitely in the initial sort of few years of this, because I'm quite keen, especially after my sort of one-to-one coaching day last week, just to kind of go aggressively with this growth over the next like 2 to 3 years, because I realise and I appreciate there will be other people that will start following in the footsteps. Yeah. So I want to make sure I'm ahead. Yep.
Give it a thought.
With the market share.
Yeah, because I definitely, that's what I was going to say as well. Once you start dominating a space and you become the person that you're known for that, like it's impossible for it's not impossible, but for people to come in and try and compete with you. Yeah. You've got this like 5 years of experience, 5 years of results that stand on top of it, and like you'll know it yourself, like you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. No. So naturally the market share will dwindle for some people, but it's like those clients were never going to be clients anyways. Yeah, and I'm quite happy with that now. I think that was another probably hard pill to swallow. You just want everybody to like you, obviously. And then I think, again, as your confidence grows, you realise, actually, I would rather some people hate me as long as I've got the right people that love what we do. Yeah. I just care less now about what people think. And what do you think the catalyst was for that? Definitely being part of a mastermind and investing in my own growth. And just putting yourself out there and thinking, what's the worst that's going to happen here? Do I really care about their opinions? Because it is true, and people say this, I know it's dead cliche, but the people that are usually judgmental or they've got their opinions, they're usually the people that are nowhere near where you're at or where you're trying to get to. So I think as long as you've got your own sort of mission at the forefront, you just care less about noise, basically. Yeah, agreed. When it comes to what I was interested by as well, right at the very beginning, you just bought the studio rather than like putting any sort of safety blanket, safety net in place. No. If you were to do it again, would you take that same approach? Yeah, because again, I just think, see, when you take the big risks, then you make them pay off. Yeah. I could have played it safe and started 1 hour a week in a community hall, but I think that wouldn't have forced me to evolve. Yeah. And I'm definitely, and I have always probably been like that. I would rather do the sort of forced evolution thing. Be like, I'll figure that out. I'll just grow into it, and I'll behave my way to whatever it is I want to get to. Yeah, I love that, and I think it's I think a lot of people can, once again, on that point of playing to your strengths, playing to the things that you're actually like, you're really good at, just like cramming things into like one spot and then just doing it all in the one day. Whereas I think for a lot of people as well is that they'll start to see those things as weaknesses. And and I'm the exact same as you. I'm definitely someone as well that thrives with like less safety, with more risk. And actually, if I get too comfortable, I won't fucking spring out of bed in the morning, and I'll take that extra hour and I'll fanny about my phone. While I'm like, if it's too comfortable, I think that was when that 15k went to Phil, it was like whole different gear shift. You're like, I have no choice but like to make this fucking work.
It just kind of springs you into action, doesn't it? And I think definitely the minute I get bored, then that's a concern for me. I need to have pressure. I need to, you need to have a reason to get out of bed, like you say. I need to have a big mission and a big drive, and see if I set big goals that people think are crazy, then good. Like the crazier the better. And even the mission that I'm on just now, like I feel like I could actually burst some days with the energy, I don't know. And then when I'm on my Zoom calls and I'm like ready to just burst, because I just feel like I know that things are happening, and I know that it's like there, do you know?
You can like taste
like it. I can actually, I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. All the work that we've done up until this point, all the personal development, business development, mistakes, all the stuff has been for this. And it's just like that, like realization. And it's to the point where I find it hard to be around people that are not as excited and not in business, and because I'm just like, oh my God, I want to give you a shake.
I was going to ask you that, to be fair, in regards to, because I know like your partner, your husband, like he's not in business, and it's also like the dynamic you said as well at the start, that you're like probably swinging more towards the masculine energy as well. What's that been like?
Yeah, he's the opposite to me, but also wants the results and wants all the things that are going to come with the success, but I suppose he balances me out. I probably couldn't be with someone that was the same level of urgency as me. He's like chilled, happy with a beer, a golf, quite just chilled. But also very good with the kids, because obviously, as you've said, they've got 3 young kids. I couldn't do it without his support. So he's doing the school run, the nursery run today quite happily. So he'll pick up where because again, I think being a mum, you can get a wee bit of mum guilt sometimes, and it's like, oh, other mums are all at the school gates and other mums are doing this. But again, it's just letting go of that and being like, well, we're a partnership. They're both our kids. He's not babysitting my kids. So let him be a dad while I go and be the breadwinner. But again, he's like, when are you retiring me? When can I play golf full time?
That's so class.
I'm like, never, because you just get under my feet. And he actually says it as well. He's just not got the drive. He would just probably chill all day. He wouldn't get up and do stuff, because sometimes he'll say to me, why are you getting up at 5 o'clock this morning? You don't need to be anywhere. And I'm like, I've got stuff to do. I need to I've just got a bit more energy than him.
That would be such a breath of fresh air for so many people, man, because I think like I probably witnessed it quite a lot with like my mum being like, she's like definitely swings more towards like masculine traits. Single mum, brought up me and my little sister, and it's like that whole up at 5 every morning, like regardless of how she feels. Definitely since starting, like when she started her business 6-7 years ago, the constant urgency and energy and excitement to just get up and get after it is like things that you just can't replicate elsewhere in a job or anything like that.
I know, and it's funny to know where it comes from. Like sometimes I wonder, and my mum and dad will be like, I don't know where we got you, because again, I'm nothing like them. My sisters and stuff as well. One of my sisters has got a dance school.
Nice.
She doesn't want my help. Should I even admit that? I don't know. I don't know if you should put that anywhere. But no, that's a lie. She doesn't not want my help, but she's just like, I'm just not into this businessy thing like you. She just doesn't get the same level of excitement as me. So I don't know where it comes from, that drive to just get to make things happen. But I think there's a wee bit of a rebelliousness there as well. It's like, just because I'm a woman, just because I'm a mum, like I can still do the things. I'm not just going to give up my life now. And in fact, I've got a son and 2 daughters, and I suppose it's my duty to show them that they can still do other things, that they can still pursue their own dreams and goals whilst being a mum. You don't have to be with your kids 24/7. And in fact, I think the last year especially, I've focused on like quality over quantity with them. So we do get a lot of time together, but I just make sure it's quality time.
That's class. That's unreal. Because I think like the whole like mum guilt, that sort of stuff. My mum was fucking like, she felt terrible. She's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, thank fuck.
Don't get me wrong, I still feel bad at times if Louis like, because I'm going to Mykonos in a couple of weeks for a work trip. And again, like my wee boy's like, can I come with you? And I'm going to be away for the best part of a week. And again, it's like, oh God, is that what mums do? But I'm like, well, might not have been until now, but now it is. Here
You're
we
the trailblazer, man.
Here we are, I'm bringing other mums with me. I'm like, let's get away from our kids. We'll call it a business retreat, but we're actually just getting a break.
Business retreat would be class to be fair. Have you thought about anything like that?
So that's where we're going on.
Oh, that's a business
retreat.
Yeah.
Sold out.
Amazing,
dance
man.
business owner retreat.
Amazing, man. How do you feel about something like that?
How do I what?
How do you feel about something like that? Like that's like, yeah.
So again, probably, I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, oh, well, it's just another thing that I just wanted to do. Yeah. It's just another thing that we wanted to do. We put it out, we sold it out. And then again, it's like 2.5 weeks away. The plan is, well, whilst we're there, to launch the next retreat and sell it out.
Nice.
But again, we're 2.5 weeks away and we don't have the other one booked yet. But that's a problem for next week. Like that's kind of the way, that's the theme behind how things are running right now.
I think a lot of people listening to this, man, they'll feel very, I don't know if it's liberating is the right word, but they'll feel very,
hopefully,
very empowered by like the fact that like, you know what, man, like I actually don't need to be this like urgent, uptight, like fucking on top of like all the details, because fucking
you can be like, and obviously sometimes I wish I was like that, but I'm not. So you know, I think it's just more enjoyable then if I can just be myself and think it's like a game, you know. It's like I'll book a villa the night before if I need to. I'm just very much, you know, I would sell something before it was ready, and I don't have any qualms around doing that because I know I'll get it done.
Yeah. And I think like like you said, and like the experience you've generated and the results you've got now, all those things back up that like you will deliver on that, whereas a lot of other people will have the anxiety around it. And I think, it's definitely just the actual experience being built up behind you. It's so easy to just build things as you jump off a cliff and with the parachute, the analogy or whatever.
Pretty much. And it's just not overthinking everything. Like, you know, you could sit and wait and I could plan it to a T and then try and sell it and then nobody's interested. So I think it's just being able to think just enough. Like not overthinking, but like not thinking. Just, you know, just getting to that wee sweet spot. Yeah.
Because I think as well, it's like a lot of people will take, Phil speaks a lot about this, to be fair, like you get stuck in like a work mode that you feel bad when you're then not working. Yeah. But see, like for example, I went to Mallorca towards the end of last month, and it's like that week away, I solved like a good 3 or 4 pretty big problems that I didn't even realize there were problems until I was away and I was thinking about them, and I was like, that's actually a pretty big bottleneck that if that doesn't get sorted, then we're fucked. And I think that's what you're like. That's what I'm taking from what you're saying as well. Is that like that creative space and that time away from just doing all the fucking time is so crucial for solving bigger picture shit as well.
100%. And again, it's just that whole people feel safe when they're doing stuff. Yeah. They feel safe when they're like productive. Oh, I've been so busy all day, but what have you actually achieved? You know. But I think we just do it because that's actually the call with one of my mastermind schools this morning. So we took her. I think I spoke to you about her when I met you last. She was 7k a month last September. Now she's at 35k a month. Wow. So yeah, it's like 5 times her business. Yep. So we are now in the process of bringing her on as a school success coach inside my community. Amazing. So obviously she's got the results, and that's kind of part of our growth strategy now, is to get other schools involved. Yep. And we were chatting about, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, we were chatting about how she said the old school way is her family were brought up in a business and it was like, you need to work 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week to be successful. Yep. And she's like, and now I'm realising, because although her school's had that growth, she's got so much more time on her hands, hence why she's able to come on as one of our coaches. Yep. And she's like actually realising that you can work less and still be successful. And it's that whole, you know, how can I achieve more while doing less? And not to think that that's lazy or, you know, that that's a bad thing.
And that's what people associate it with, right? It's like they think that like less time equals less output, which then means less results. Yeah. But it's actually not the case. It's
definitely not. And I think, but it is an old school way of thinking, isn't it? Whereas new school, was that even a term? But like you can still get results for yourself, for other people, but you can utilize other people's strengths. Like, you know, delegate. I'm a master delegator.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell from when we sat at Subway you were a master delegator.
Good job.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Just when you were breaking down like your like team structure and like what everyone was doing, even just like as we were chatting just before the cameras turned on, like you, like when one of the questions I always ask guests by when we sit down is like, is there anything off the cards? And you were like, nah, absolutely not. And I was like, cool, so maybe we'll talk about numbers.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, yeah. And then I was like, cool, specific profit margins. And you're like, sure, but I don't know the numbers. And I was like, what?
No, they're good. I just don't know. I just don't know the ins and outs. But equally, I don't want to know.
Fairs. And
You know.
like in terms of like who manages that for you, and like what does their role look like?
So we've got a studio manager. I mean, again, we need to update her role and her title because she's much more than that now.
Yep.
She was very much in the dance school side, but she's coming more over to the online coaching stuff. She's actually even getting involved in sales calls, and that's going to be a great opportunity for her as well. Yep. To probably double her salary potentially, you know, by doing these sales calls. So I call her studio manager, but she's more than that. She handles all the details. So she's my person I'm quite, I wouldn't say I'm chaotic because I'm not chaotic, but I'm quite like, this is all the things we want to do. Yep. Can you help me? How are we going to do it?
Yeah, so it's like a kind of like you're the visionary and then she's like the integrator. She's the operator, essentially.
She's very much operator, and then she'll delegate things to other team. And so,
Class.
yeah. So
love that, man.
But it's a process.
Yeah. Have you ever read Rocket Fuel?
No.
Out of curiosity. Well, that's a book by Gino Wickman, and it speaks about that component of like
okay.
They refer to it as a partnership, but you can have it naturally just as a business structure. But it's like a visionary, then an integrator. The integrator is essentially almost like the head of operations that will lead, manage, and hold the rest of the team accountable. They'll report to them, and then the integrator will report to you. And it's like obviously the structure can sway a little bit, but that sounds like what it is that you're creating.
Yeah, I think you just get better results that way, because I would very much be a bottleneck. See if people are waiting on me for answers, and again, that's been a process.
Yeah.
You need to kind of, I suppose, go through it to figure it out, where people are waiting on me to do something and I'm like floating about doing podcasts or whatever. Yeah. So then I become an issue in the business. Yeah. So it's trying to make sure that the business doesn't revolve around me, that and it doesn't rely on my presence or my energy, mood, whatever it is. Yeah.
Someone that maybe feels like they're a bottleneck just now, what would be some of the steps or advice that you would give them to get out of
that? Sit and rewrite your role. I would just rewrite my role in the business, and I do that quite a lot actually. I think, what am I doing? What do I do on a weekly basis, daily, monthly, that I don't need to be doing? And how can I hand it over to someone else and then use my time better to drive more business into the business? So just kind of regularly rewriting your role, looking at what you don't enjoy. Obviously, that's one of the first things to go, but then the hard thing to go, and actually the conversation about that this week, one of my friends runs a fitness class, and she's like, well, it kind of makes about £200 per class, but it takes a lot of time by the time I do it, blah, blah, blah. She went, and I enjoy it. And I says, well, you enjoy it, so that's usually a harder thing to let go. But I think that's where the growth is. I think you can't hold on to everything you enjoy. Like, I've delegated things that I enjoy, but it's just part of the process of growth, isn't it?
What are some of the things you delegated that you've enjoyed?
I enjoy social media. I do enjoy social media, but it's all the dance school stuff's all been delegated. I'm in the process of handing that over.
Nice. For
the business coach stuff. I actually don't enjoy all the actual doing of the things. So if it's like we put on a class and we need to fill it, I don't want to be the person to go phone around all the parents, for example. Yeah. I like to just have the idea and somebody implement.
Yeah, for sure. I love that, man.
But yeah, it's hard to get to that place, I think. And people just think, oh, I'm not like that. How can I get like that? But it takes time. Yeah. You know, it's constant. I mean, constant reviewing it.
Yeah. Because even like as an example for us, it must have been towards the end of last year, I started to remove myself quite heavily from the actual delivery of the day-to-day. And then naturally, clients' expectations maybe weren't being met. We went through a period of churn, and then just through like advice, we had an advisor on as well who'd scaled to like multiple 6 figures a month, and it was basically just like, this is going to be the teething problems or like the teething pains of like, you've removed yourself. Yep. You're going to have clients that are naturally going to churn. You're going to replace those clients with clients that are not going to expect you to be there anymore. and it's going to feel like shit just now, but you're going to be so grateful for it. And now it's like I'm fully removed from the delivery. My actual working in the business time each week is about 13 hours.
That's amazing.
Whereas before it was like 50 hours, busy bee, like you're saying, like I get towards the end of the day and I'm drained. I'm like, oh, what a fucking day. But like, what have I actually done to drive the business forward? Not much, apart from just doing the day-to-day shit. Which is, funny enough, I don't know if you felt the same when you were doing that, but you feel way more drained doing that shit.
So drained.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just not helping anybody, because then when you're drained, you're not going to show up for your clients.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be the best version, I suppose, because you're just so exhausted. And then they sense that and they just don't get anything out of it. And I suppose that's what happened to me with teaching in the school. I just started to find it really draining, really exhausting. And yeah, we lost, like, you know, churn went up at the time because people are like, oh, I don't like the new teacher or whatever. Yeah. And that happens. And I think is but that's where the temptation is to go back. That's where I think I see a lot of people fall down, where they go, oh, nobody's coping with change, I'm just going to go back to the way it was. Yeah. But then they're not going to get to the other side. Yeah,
and that's one thing I'm so glad I resisted, because I was the same. I was like, I'm going to jump back in, I'll get all the 1-on-1s sorted. And then I was just like, you know what? If we just replace them and reset, because it's the expectations that's the problem. The expectation is that they are expecting you to be there and they're expecting them at one time. Whereas that gets cut, the expectations get reset, people aren't going to be happy, some of those churn. And it's like you replace them with new clients with the new expectations.
Yeah.
And that's just like the period of growth or change that needs to happen.
And it's uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people don't want to go through that. So they'd rather just stay. But I think it's, again, having your own personal goals at the forefront as well, and not being scared to do that. Again, like some of the things that I'll hear from school owners, they say, you know, our school's got such a nice vibe and I would hate to lose that. But I want a bigger house and I want to go on holiday, but also want to keep the charm that my school's got. And it's like, right, well, let's decide what's the most important here. Yeah. You can still keep the charm at your school. It doesn't say that you need to know every single parent, every single kid. You can delegate that to someone else to do. Yeah. And then you can get your bigger house and your holidays. Do you know? It's like, so people will resist and they'll almost put themselves off the growth. They're like, I want all this stuff, but I don't want to lose this. And it's like, where you're just going to need to figure out what means most to you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I completely resonate with that, because I think as well, like, you'll naturally, maybe you're someone that's like super, you know, about like everything, all the details, and like you never miss a beat. And then you start thinking, but there's nobody else like me that can come in and not miss a beat. And then you end up just fucking doing it all the time. Whereas there's fucking people out there that will love that shit, would love that as a job or a role, and they will do it for the rest of their life.
And they'll do it better than you most of the time. And it's just that, it's like just weighing up the options. Like I just hear it all the time. It's one of the objections for people working with us, you know, if we ever get any. It's like, oh, but I don't want to lose this, or I want to stay the cheapest. I want to be the cheapest school in the area. And it's like, right, well, you stay the cheapest, but you're not going to get your big months. You're not going to get all the things that you want for your life. Like, do you know, it's always bizarre to me that people don't give themselves permission to live their life the way they want to and make their business support that.
What have you found is like the most common, like when they say the objection is, I want to be the cheapest, like what is their reason behind like wanting to?
Because they're scared. They don't know, they don't realise that they're worth more. They don't realise the value. They think they need to be the cheapest to be the busiest. Yeah. And in actual fact, a lot of our schools are double the price of schools next door to them, but they've got double the amount of customers. Yeah. And what do you think that really like comes down to? Say like, have you got like 5 key principles that are like, these dance schools are just like shit hot when it comes to it, and that's what allows them to charge double in the exact same location but next door? Well, they're doing some of the things that we've discussed. They're building out a team. They're not revolving the business around them. Because again, you know, shit happens. You get sick, kids get sick, you go have a baby, you go get married. Like, these things happen, and if the business has to start around you, that's just not good for customers. I think a lot of business owners are just in denial about the work that they're not doing. And I don't know if that sounds harsh, but it's like, you know, my business is not growing. It's like, right, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm just there. I'm here. Nobody's coming to me. And it's like, right. So it's just that you're just in denial about the fact that you're here and nobody's coming. The schools that get to charge double but have double the amount of customers, they are just very clear in their messaging. You know, they're clear who they want to work with. Then they attract the right people, I guess. And And yeah, they just know that they're delivering good value to their customers, and they've got the team to support that.
Yeah, I love that. And in terms of like the clear messaging, so say someone that's maybe like not researched like the dance space, that is pretty naive to the dance space, how can the messaging vary as such through the dance schools?
So just giving away constant freebies, like, you know, some dance schools, again, that they've just not had permission, or they just don't know any better. They give away lots of free trials. It's like, come to us for a month for free, and they think that's going to attract people, right? But then you get the people that just hop around all the free schools because they don't want to pay, and then the minute you try and get them to pay your subscription, they're going to be a problem. So they're just very apologetic as well in their messaging. It's like, you know, just justifying everything.
Yeah.
And just scared to charge what they're worth, and worried, always doing other people's thinking. Always saying, my customer's going to say this, my customer's going to think that, my customer's going to think I'm a money grabber, my customer's going to think I'm greedy. That's the sort of things I hear.
And Joe's mad, like, see when you're reading your customer's mind, right, in an actual like good marketing sense, it's so empowering. Your copy becomes unreal. But see when you're filled with just limiting beliefs and bullshit,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's like you think you need to be the cheapest to be the biggest school, or it's limiting beliefs that comes down to that. And it's so obvious as well to probably people like us who have done a lot of work on it, but to the people that don't know any different, then I suppose it's hard.
It definitely is, for sure. So in terms of the principles I've took from it is that it doesn't have all around them. It's not just like a one person job. Second thing is that they're not doing the work that they actually need to do to bring in the overarching thing for me was like to actually do the work to increase like the results or the price or the actual bring in more sales. They're not doing any of that work. They're just doing the busy bee in the business shit. Third thing I wrote down as well is that they're not clear on the mission, which we've unpacked there. Is there anything else that you stack on top of that?
The schools that are doing really well in my community are charging customers like all year round. So they've got the subscription model in place, and they're not scared to do that and explain why people are paying all year round, like the way you would if you went to a gym, for example. The schools that have got the limiting beliefs still, that are a bit stuck and financially probably struggling, they maybe only charge their customers for 10 months of the year, and they'll give their customers a holiday from paying, but then they're struggling. So it's just they've got the right systems in place.
And what is because I can understand like maybe why they think I'm going to give them a holiday because for 7 weeks they're not coming here. Like, how do you break down that belief and like restructure a new one that helps them understand that they can charge all year round? So we just kind of split the payments across the year. So say you're doing 40 classes in a year, rather than paying that for 40 weeks, we just, you know, get an amount, spread it across the year, and it just means that you're getting paid all year round. Whereas the schools that do that, they think they're doing it for the benefit of their customers, and maybe the customers love it, like, oh yeah, great, we've not got a bill in the summer. But when the school owners are struggling, like, how does that help you as a business owner to show up like feeling your best? Because you're going to just feel like shit, you've got no money, you can't do anything, you're struggling to make ends meet, you're not going to be able to grow the business, and it's just not really benefiting anyone. Whereas actually for me as a parent, I don't want, if I send my kid to a club, I don't want the owner to be struggling. I don't want to think that they're like, you know, spending a summer, can't do it with their own kids because they're giving me a break from payments. I just find that bizarre. And I think a lot of people have limiting beliefs so heavily around pricing. Like, even if I think about, there was one of the like little cafes that opened up, one of them opened up in Cumbernauld, and I used to go regularly to it, and I'd be able to get like, say, like a roll and square sausages and potato scone, right? And he'd be like £1.50, right? And I'd be like,
and you go,
how are you making money from that? You've got 4 staff back in the kitchen. You're serving me like you've got. I'm looking, and they've got all these fucking cakes. They've got like, I'd imagine a shit ton of stuff in the background. And also, I remember I used to see the women that used to like help run the place buying food from Tesco to sell, which means they're not getting the wholesale prices. They're getting retail prices. And I'm like, I remember I was chatting to the guy, I was like, I know this is going to sound really fucking weird because you don't know me and I'm just like here just buying food from you, but you need to raise your pricing. And the guy was like, what? And I was like,
I can do
these
that?
are so cheap. Like, I'm coming here because it's literally better off for me to pay you to make the food in regards to how much I would have to pay to actually just go and buy the shit myself. And you're saving me a shit ton of time. Like the convenience of it's outstanding. The service is great. The food's always good to the level that I expect of it. And it's like, you can charge more, and the guy's just like,
Like, as if you're talking like another language.
Yeah. And Joe's mad, they never actually raise their pricing and they end up shutting.
Oh,
Like
and see
6 months later, man.
That's sad. Whereas he could have charged £3 for that, you'd have probably kept going.
100%.
But I think as well, the limiting belief there is people think they need to make this bigger announcement, and all the customers are going to get angry. And, you know, because I've got friends that are maybe in aesthetics or whatever, and they're like, I need to charge a bit more. What do I do? Do I make an announcement? I'm like, just change your prices on your website. Like, it's not, then if somebody goes to book, they've got an option. They don't need to, if somebody goes in and sees that guy's rolls are now £3, they don't need to buy it if they think it's too expensive. Like, you've got permission to choose, you know, your pricing. It's especially when people do it to the detriment of the business. So that's obviously not being sustainable. And you do that, I think when you're a business owner, you start adding up the costs. You go, right, they're running this shop, they've got the lights on, they've got these staff. How's that possible? And then what happens with the schools is they're not making enough money and they need to shut. So how does that help the families then?
Literally. When
their kids love the dance class and now it can no longer run. And
people also, for some reason, are always in the habit of equating just like value to money or like how much it saves. Whereas, see, like the time and the convenience stuff, like I'm scared for the day I move into town in Glasgow, man, because I'll be Uber Eats' best fucking customer. I would rinse the fuck out of that place just for the convenience of just having food.
I know.
Like, whenever I need it.
And again, maybe not everyone's got that mindset, and that's fine. But our job as a business owner is to find the customers, the clients that have got that mindset and that are okay to pay. Because I actually am quite wary sometimes of, you know, sent my wee boy to a martial arts club, £16 a month. Just kind of pay it whenever you want to, transfer it. We won't chase you. And then I'm like, how is it only £4 a week, basically? Like, you know, I was just a bit, I'm actually just thinking if they got insurance, I would rather just pay double. So it's just like that mindset as well. We think people want cheap, but actually they don't.
You start to look for things like that could potentially be wrong with it. I even chatted to one of my clients recently who started working with a coach, like a personal training like coach up in Aberdeen. And I was like, oh, how much are you paying him? And he's like, £100 a month. And I was like, right. And like, what's involved in that? And he started breaking it all down to me. And I was like, that sounds a bit mental in regards to like pricing wise. Like, you're getting a mad, like, were you on an entry offer or something like that? And he was like, yeah, I was kind of thinking that myself, to be fair. I actually nearly went with someone else until I actually went and met the guy. And I thought, he's actually class. And since I started, like, he was like, I've been with him 2 months. I hit PBs every time I'm in the gym. It's fucking amazing. I'm like, has he ever raised his pricing? He's like, no.
He probably wants to. He probably needs to.
Probably.
But he's not got Phil or somebody in his life that's saying, yeah, you can do that. And I think that's another thing as well, that if the demand is there and you're getting the results, that's a nudge to put the prices up. You know, if I've got schools that have they've got waiting lists, people are like dying to get their kid into that school and they're charging pennies. It's like, right, there's a demand here. People are trying to pay you money. So let's increase. Yeah.
And if they're like, that's the thing as well, if they're asking, like if they are, people are giving indications, like they'll usually leave like little crumbs, like me going into that place and saying, you should probably raise your pricing, by the way. It's like taking that crumb and actually being like, like I wonder why he's actually said that. Or like I wonder the actual logistics behind that. Because as well, it's like you said, as a business owner, we're breaking down all the shit when it comes to their business. But like I'm thinking they're making profit because they're buying wholesale prices. But they're not. They're in fucking Tesco, like probably trying to get club card offers. And it's like, it's brutal because then their margins are fucking gone.
No, I know. And it's funny when you say, because you're talking about like a cafe kind of vibe. I was in St Andrews at the weekend and there's a wee toasty shack there on the beach. I don't know if you know it. And it was funny because it was in the news at the weekend that they're going to start putting gull insurance on their toasties because the seagulls are eating people's toasties, and then they're going and they're replacing them for free. So they've noticed as a business that's costing them like hundreds of pounds a week. So then I'm like, good for you, just being bold and putting your prices up. I think it's like £1 on every toasty or something they're putting. So they're actually going to probably benefit out of that.
Yeah.
But again, it's just having the wisdom to be like, this is losing us hundreds of pounds a day, a week, whatever it is. Yeah. We need to get it back.
And it's even like, that'll be such a talking point and such a laugh.
On the media.
Yeah. Like, it's fucking genius. And if you say to them, by the way, do you want gull insurance? And then the customer's like, what the fuck's gull insurance? Like, there's a seagull that's going to steal your toasty. Like, do you want that? And they're like, no, why the fuck would I want to pay like gull insurance? Then if their toasty gets dusted,
then the business are still up because they're going to come back and buy another one. And the place is mobbed, like, I mean, queued out the door on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what a great business move.
Yeah, it's fucking
and
class.
funny, and it's got them in the media, it's got them loads of PR, so yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's outstanding. I'm going to check time and see where we're actually at. How are we actually looking time? Just about an hour? Oh, we're all good then. We're fine.
Okay.
No stress. We've still got
That's
another
okay.
like...
Sorry, I feel I'm chatting so much.
Oh no, it's been fucking class,
That's
man.
what we're
It's
here
been
for.
class. I've been so lost in the actual sauce. Like usually I'm able to check my phone at some point
Oh,
throughout
right,
to
okay.
check the time.
Right, okay.
But we're so locked in. I just seen Paul come in and I was like, shit, are we running over?
Finished.
But yeah, so I guess like on the we'll kind of segue into like what are the plans moving forward for the business.
Yes. So plans are, I'm currently trying to remove myself a little bit more from the sales calls. So again, it's just a process of sort of evolution, isn't it? Like the thing that gets you to this point needs to change to get you to the next point. So that's the kind of process we're going through just now. It's like, what am I doing that I can now hand over? And by bringing on like the school success coach, as I said, someone that's in my mastermind, she's going to take over some of my calls, which again is going to give me more bandwidth to keep driving revenue.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. How have you got like a process that allows for you to like start to remove yourself? Because I feel like a lot of people struggle with the thought process of that and it's very daunting. Do you have like a process?
I would love to say that. I know you won't be surprised at that answer, but I just basically a notepad, a pen, that's where I start. I just scribble it down. Then I kind of build it out. I try and do like, you know, a bit of a process, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm very much just let's figure it out. I get the team on board. So we had a team meeting yesterday, myself and two of the girls in the team. And it's like, this is the plans. This is what I want to achieve. Let's create some action steps.
Yeah.
So see, as long as we are every single week taking action, I know that we're getting closer to the goal, which is never going to stop because then there's going to be a new goal and that's fine. But it's also just making sure, and I've been trying to be good at that lately, is be efficient with my time. So there would be a time in the past where I'd sit with the team for 3-4 hours and at the end of it I'd be like, we've not really achieved anything. We've gave ourselves a big to-do list and now I don't have time to complete the to-do list. So I try not to do that now. We're trying to like narrow it down into like 30-minute calls together. Let's be sharp. Let's not waffle. Let's no fluff. Just get action steps and go do it.
Which I think a lot of people struggle with as well when they start to build out a team because they want to like make people feel good and amazing.
How are you?
And like,
how was your weekend? which I know is nice and you need to do that obviously, but sometimes you just need to go straight in and be like, right, what's the agenda? And that's another thing as well. Sometimes I would go into the meeting just being like, right, what's happening, and have no agenda, whereas now I've got a clear agenda. Usually I like to put something in straight after it, like for that time constraint. So I know that I can't go past a certain time because there's something else that needs my attention. And I think that helps as well, working in those little blocks at time. So it's really just evolving and letting the team know that I don't have it all figured out. And just being okay with that as well. I'm not going into my team and being like, you know, I'm the boss, I know everything. And it's not like that. It's just like, let's figure it out, let's test it, let's tweak it. And we'll see where we end up.
I think I really resonate with that. One of the things that I was curious about as well, because you kind of touched on it earlier on, which just randomly popped back into my mind. You spoke about the fact that like all these kind of like limit beliefs around like being a mum in business, being a woman in business, like all these things, like almost people would not necessarily rule you out, but there'll be an aspect where it's maybe a thought for other women when they're in business or other mums when they're in business. And interestingly enough, like I don't know if you'd use LinkedIn at all. No,
but I've got a LinkedIn expert coming into my community next week.
Nice. Love that.
So I will be.
Well, LinkedIn's like full of that type of stuff, man, where it's like, you know, I grew up as a woman in business and it's like super empowering post, which is always like class, right? But there's also an aspect where I think I see it like for me when I came into business and I was young, it was like, how do you feel being young in business? And I'm like, I don't really, it's not even a thought for me. Like I'm not like...
You don't define yourself as that.
Like one of the questions I had when I was on a more recent podcast, which I can understand why it gets asked, was like, how do you feel coaching people that are like 10 years older than you? And I'm like, once again, like not even a thought. And I don't know, like I was wanting to bounce that off you because I was like, it's never been a thought for me. Doesn't seem like it's ever really been a thought for you. And you can tell that through your content as well, because like none of your content leans towards like I don't know, like well on LinkedIn it's quite heavy towards that type of stuff where it's like I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just like using that as a constant crutch to like it's a fuel for like generating almost like maybe like polarizing content or rallying people behind you. Whereas you're so just like nonchalant about it, and it's like,
do you think?
Yeah, man, I've got 3 kids and a husband. Like,
it's interesting to hear your perspective, because obviously when you're just in the thing, I don't know how it appears to people.
Yeah.
Like someone came into my community this week and she's like, I was with another dance business coach, but I heard that you're more around mindset. And I'm like, am I? Okay, that's interesting. Because, you know, just the fact that she had perceived that or heard that from someone, and it makes me go, oh God, how is that how it comes across? So I don't even ever take that into account, that it's coming across a certain way. And I think the big thing for me, what it comes down to, is that I'm just walking the walk, I suppose. It's like I'm just doing the thing, like it, don't like it. And I definitely don't see kids as a way to hold me back. In fact, every child I've had since, you know, my wee boy's just turned 5, the oldest, after each kid, it's actually fueled me to do more. So again, I don't know if that's just a wee bit of the rebel that's like, yeah, I'm not going to just think, oh, I'm a mum now, or just give up. Yeah. Give up my life. It's like, it's going to be a wee bit harder, but it's fine. Do it. So I suppose I don't take it into account, and I don't let it hold me back when I'm planning things or, you know, arranging things for the business. Because again, I speak to a lot of mums, and a mum recently was like, my wee boy's just turned 1 and I better wait until he's 2. And I'm like, you can, but also in that year, you could have doubled your business. So why wait?
Yeah.
And, you know, when I joined Phil's mastermind, my 3rd baby was like, she was about 7 weeks old at the time. And like a couple of weeks later, I find myself on a plane to Belfast with all these big, like, strong men in business. And I was like, just had a baby, breastfeeding still. So you can imagine, you know, I won't go into detail there, but I just, I don't know. I don't let it hold me back.
Yeah. Because I think as well, it's like, once again, if you were to look at like, probably like us when we went to Phil's event, I think me and you were the only business owners that were not fitness businesses as well. And it's like, I think when it came to like females in the room as well, there was maybe like a handful. Yeah. And there's just like, like just from your content, from meeting you, from the conversation we've had, there's never been an aspect where it's like, I don't know, like using that as like a crutch at all or anything like that. Which I wanted to bounce off you, because it's like, when people bring it up from a young entrepreneurship aspect, I always have the same answer where I'm like, I don't know how to explain to you that it's not a thought.
It's not a thing.
And I was hoping you were going to be like, no, I do have a thought and it's this. And I was like, fuck.
No, I don't. And that's the thing. I like I said, I don't overthink things. It's just like, just thinking just enough. And actually, I've been in female masterminds, and I just sometimes don't enjoy the fluff, or I don't enjoy the excuses of, you know, I've just had a baby. Like, so? And that sounds really harsh, but, you know, just the sort of, oh yeah, I need to cook the dinner tonight, so I can't get the work done. And I just don't get it. It just doesn't connect with me. Yeah.
I'm going to not chime in on that. It's just in case, like...
No, I don't mean that. No, I don't mean that at all. Like, I know, I mean, people are entitled to maternity leave and all that, but, you know, I just doesn't resonate with me.
I feel like the difference is, though, like you said, is that like you've walked the actual walk, so you can actually say it, and actually be like, you know, I've got fucking 3 kids, my oldest is 5, and in the last year you've went from 4k a month to 40k a month, and it's like you have walked the fucking walk, whereas I'm 25 years old, not got any kids now. I'm like, fucking aye, man, no excuses.
Equally, I don't want to offend anyone. No, obviously, like, you know, it's just more of a, I think that's a limiting belief as well, that because we've had kids, because we've got babies, that we can't do things. Actually, I found that when I had my babies, they would sleep for like 4 hours at a time, and you know, I've got a cleaner. I don't need to be cleaning that whole time. I don't want to sleep, so I might as well work and create things.
100%. I'm all over it, man. I'm all over it. I'm behind you on that, without a doubt. So from an aspect, one of the things I did want to touch on as well was that from a content perspective, you've been super consistent on the ball. I mean, I actually realised as well when I started following you that you post like twice a day.
Well, I think you followed me at the time where I was doing a challenge in my group, actually, and we were challenging ourselves to post 3 times a day. Wow. So I done 3 posts a day for a week consistently, just to test if it increased inquiries and all of that, and it did. Wow. So, but again, I don't keep up that level regularly, but usually 1 a day. 1 a day. Regular on stories. Yeah, just consistent. I suppose that's just part of the game to grow, isn't it?
How long have you been like maintaining that level of consistency?
On socials?
Yeah.
Since I started.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
probably just over 2 years ago, I think the Instagram account started. And again, I just every day, even if it's like not my best work, it's out there. It's just staying visible and making people aware of what you're up to. Because what I've noticed recently as well, people messaging saying, I've been following you for the last year and I've seen this, this and this, but they've not engaged or anything.
Yeah.
They've not liked, commented, sent me a message until a year down the line. So in the back of my head, always I'm like, just keep posting, because I know that you need to build that kind of know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah, 100%. And it's something that I've noticed as well, like you are fucking on top of it with offers on your stories and like taking shit. 100%. Well, compared to me, 100%.
Okay.
Like I'm seeing like, I think like what in the last week I've seen you post like 3 or 4 different offers. I think so. Unless I'm just talking shit.
No, you're probably right. But again, it's just a habit now. I'm just like, oh really? Because I'm just like more probably immune to it. But I'm in such a habit of as soon as I see a result coming in from one of the community, screenshot, put it up, and then sort of chat about it a wee bit. Which I think again, that's people are watching, because even when you post it, it's as if you forget. Like obviously you're saying you've seen my offers, and I'm like, oh, have you? Like I forget that people are actually seeing this stuff.
I think as well, you forget what you actually post, which is it's an empowering feeling when people overthink their own content, because it's like, if you forget what the fuck you post, imagine other people consuming it. Like, if you post a shit post, like, it's just going to disappear after a few weeks, so don't worry about it.
I know, and if it was decent, people will remember it, because now and again you get people going, I remember when you said this, and I'm like, oh, I can't remember that. Like, I remember you put up a story about something, and that just sometimes certain things just land in people's heads when they need to hear it, you know.
Agreed, without a doubt. So in terms of like what people can expect next, obviously you've got like obviously the kind of goals there or things that you've laid out so far, but in terms of what people can expect, maybe from like a socials perspective, business perspective, what can they expect?
Yeah, so business perspective, we're looking to grow 5 times from where we're at now in the next year.
Nice.
So again, part of the plan to get there is just keep removing myself from the tasks that are not moving the business forward. Keep, I suppose, elevating the team.
Yeah.
So just keep recreating our roles, and just keep getting out my comfort zone, doing more, you know, podcasts, more speaking, and just becoming impossible to ignore.
I get behind that one. That's fucking class. When you say removing the tasks, by the way, what are some of the tasks that are in front of me just now that you feel like you need to remove?
It's just that the sort of sales calls, I'm still very much, see, because I'm quite hungry to grow it. So I can quite quickly just jump into the chat. So I've got a team that deal with chats, but if I see something, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get them on a call. So I suppose I need to like calm down a wee bit with that, and just let other people do the sales calls. And again, just remembering that I'm quite bad at task jumping sometimes. So I'll do a sales call, and then I'll host a training session, and then I'll come to a podcast, and then I'll go, you know, and that's not really great, is it, for consistency? So yeah, just trying to figure out what I'm wasting my time on, really.
Yeah. I love that,
and saying no to things that, you know, and I've been doing that lately. I'd say that's been a big thing this year, just saying no to a lot of social events and things that you used to think, oh, I must go to that so that I don't, like, you know, look like a weirdo. Now I'm like, I don't care, because I just feel like there's just a mission, and if something doesn't fit with it, then not interested.
100%. I think I've got one little story to the links well to this as well. I had the first mentor I had in the gaming side of things. He had like 6 different companies that he ran. That was at a time where I was like, holy shit, this guy runs fucking 6 businesses. This is crazy. And I remember him telling me this story about the fact that, like, I think at the time I was working really hard from a streaming perspective. I had friends that I hadn't seen in months, and I was like, I started to feel really guilty, and I forgot one of the guys' birthdays, and it wasn't until like 2 weeks later that I was like, holy shit, I've completely forgot that. Then a year around again, I forgot again. So like I didn't even put it in my calendar then. And I remember feeling really bad about it, and I was explaining this to the mentor at the time, and he was like, I'll make you feel better. I literally was a best man at a wedding, was traveling from like America to, I think it was like Thailand, and then to the UK, and then back to America. And in that time there was basically like a 24-hour window where he had to be in I think it was like Bali or something for the wedding. And he was like, and I got so locked in on a meeting that I missed my flight completely. Like the flight had been and gone by the time I'd realised the meeting was finished. I then couldn't make it to the wedding, and I had to phone my friend, just tell him that I wasn't going to make it.
And he was okay with it.
And I was like, you know what? I feel so much fucking better now for forgetting a birthday as opposed to like forgetting
Oh my God.
to be a best man.
And I think the thing is, it's just bringing in just narrowing your attention to what is actually important. Like, I see just even things like, I've got friends that, and if they're listening to this, she'll know who she is. She loves like doing birthday posts for everybody, and she overthinks like all the pictures that she puts out. And I'm just like, I can't be arsed with that. Like, I just don't do posts for anyone. Like, you know, you might get a text from me, but just like removing that pressure from yourself, thinking that you need to do things that you don't need to do.
Yeah.
And just focusing on what's important. And obviously just now, the sort of, I suppose, season that I'm in, the kids are my priority, and the business and my husband fits in with that. But yeah, just like you said before about taking time to relax and still enjoying time off and resting and knowing when to push and pull, which I think is a big thing I've learned in the last year.
I love that, man. I love that. I think it's an amazing note to finish on. Where can people find you, Louise, so they can see some of your content?
So the Dance Business Coach on Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully LinkedIn soon, because we've got the expert next week. But I feel like you've kind of set me up now, because you've said that I'm consistent and all that, so I better keep it up.
Yeah, I have no doubts that you will. Well, thank you so much, Louise. Honestly, it's been absolutely amazing. Guys, if you're on Spotify, leave a review, drop us a little message, let us know what you found was your favourite part. Make sure that you follow Louise on the socials as well, because like I said, she's super consistent. She's super on the ball. But yeah, guys, if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. We've got episodes every fortnight going up at the moment. You would have seen an episode with Ryan Park from Boots and Pieces, huge brand. Obviously had Louise on now. Got Mark Glasgow coming on next, who runs one of the biggest boiler companies in the UK. Multiple 7-figure per year business, creates a big business. And we've got Lawrence Mallion coming back on for part 2, who recently exited a multiple 7-figure per year business as well. So we've got some amazing guests coming, amazing guests lined up afterwards as well. So make sure you subscribe, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.